Hey everybody, Miley McKay here, back in a new video. I just want to do a little bit of a tiny collection update, because I only have one movie to update the collection with. But I decided I'm going to talk about this movie, and yeah. So I said in my last video I just saw Nope last weekend by the time of this recording. And I liked it. It was creepy in some parts, and I did love it. And it made me want to go back and watch other alien movies that terrified me when I was a little kid. And one of the ones I wanted to watch, I did not own until yesterday by the time of this recording, and I finally got it. Dark Skies. This scared the crap out of me when I was younger. I think I was like 11 when this came out. I don't know. Well, actually, I was a little bit older than that. I was like 12 or 13 when it came out. I don't remember. I think I was 12 when it came out. I don't really remember though. I was like a preteen. I was in middle school at the time. Or at least just starting middle school. I was in 6th grade, and it was one of those movies that scared the absolute shit out of me, which there are only a handful of movies I watch most of the time that actually scare the shit out of me. That was one of them. Yeah, the old horror remake scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Even the old one scared me, and that creeps me out, but the remake scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid. Yeah, the horror remake. Because I think I was like 7 when I first saw that. I was little. When I first watched it, not when it came out. I was too little when that came out. But there's not a lot of movies that actually, scare the shit out of me, and still have the ability to creep me out to this day. When I was a little kid, everything I watched, scared me. When it came to, horror movies, not scare me, but at least anything from, the early 2000s creeped me out when I was a little kid. The movie Mirrors creeped me out when I was a little kid. But then again, this is coming from the same person who I had this weird thing when I was a little kid. Actually, still sometimes today, if I get up in the middle of the night and there's a mirror on my way to the bathroom or wherever I'm going to do in the middle of the night, I'll completely avoid looking at the mirror. When I was a little kid, I used to live in Conway in South Carolina, and my dad had this giant glass mirror outside our bathroom door, on the wall outside the bathroom door, in the middle part of our house, in what which was the bar room, because it was a bar counter in there and everything. And I just remember I would get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom almost every night, 'cause at the time I didn't sleep very well. I stayed up fairly late, because, little kids do little kid things. Because when I didn't have school at the time, I used to have this thing with wanting to try to pull all-nighters or not going to sleep until, who knows, who knows how late it was. Sometimes, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd finally get to sleep, because I'd stay up watching TV, or I'd pass out for a little bit, sitting on the couch watching TV, and wake up at that time, go to my room, close the door, and then go back to sleep. And at that time, I would get up in the middle of the night, usually either to use the bathroom or go get something to drink out of the fridge, because I wake up dehydrated, because when I sleep deep, I wake up super dehydrated. I'm assuming this is normal. If it's not normal, whatever, it is what it is. And when I do this, I remember I just completely avoid looking at the giant glass mirror. I still avoid looking at mirrors when I get up in the middle of the night when it's dark. I don't know what it is about the mirror, but I just completely don't want to look at it in the middle of the night. It's the weirdest thing. Although when I was a little kid, I also used to have a fear of the dark, so that went away real quick. I think out of all the phobias I've had in my lifetime, the most debilitating was the stage fright that I had for the longest time. Because I was in choir when I was in high school, and my stage fright would get the best of me at that time, and I I did a whole concert looking away from the audience or actually looking down at the floor, really, because I couldn't stand to look at the audience because I was so terrified. I got over that real quick though, and later on I had theater class, a couple theater classes actually, where we did plays and stuff, and by that time I had no stage fright, but yeah, it was hard at first. But yeah, the weirdest things creep me out sometimes. I've also had the creepiest things in the world happen to me, or at least in my home or wherever. There's also weird stuff going on around where I live currently. Because we have this little building at the bottom of the hill at my house where I'm at right now, where I live right now. We call it the barn. It's a storage building. What it actually used to be was, it was originally my great granddad's mother's house, and she lived down there because she didn't want nothing to do with the family. So to stay away from everybody, she lived down there. Then my dad used to keep his toys down there when he was a child, after she was long dead, and now nobody ever uses the barn. The weird thing about it is the fact that animals seem to hate it in there. They can't go in there. I've tried taking my dogs in and they whimper and run out. There's something I don't like about that building. I never figured it out. My dad said that's been that way his whole life. Animals never liked it. So it's one of the weirdest things, and we had a huge conversation about that yesterday, because we still don't understand why animals don't like it down there. I never even go down there anymore because the place kind of creeps me out when I go down there alone. I don't like it. It used to not be so bad. We used to have a radio down there and a light. Mostly because my dad wanted to make it look like people were home at all times. Nobody broke in there, because people actually broke in there before. And a few times I went down there when the radio used to be down there. One time I heard it turn off. I could hear the radio on, I could hear the local radio station playing on it, and then it suddenly cut out, and first I thought the signal cut out, then I walked in there and flipped the switch on the radio to find that it was turned off, and there was nobody in there. And then on top of that, I had the pleasure of telling my dad that I've seen things move around there, like change places, like things not where they should be. Like, there's still old toys and shit down there, so there'll be a pile of toys on the floor in one part of the barn, and one part of the toy side, the apartment side of the barn, like we have to call it, because there's two sides of it. And then you go down there and there's things misplaced in different areas, even though we haven't been down there God knows how long, like huge time spans where we're not down there. And since we never seen anybody break in there anymore, it makes it even creepier. And my dad actually told me last night when I said something to him about this, that's been like that even since he was a kid, that he'll go down there and things are placed in ways he never placed. Some things are moved around, all that stuff. It's the weirdest thing. So, other than that, it's not really that creepy about where I live. But yeah, I think the only horrible things that have happened while I lived here is we had some horrible animal encounters. Like my dad once thought a skunk on the golf course across the street, like behind where I live. He thought a skunk was a cat. He thought it was our cat Bogey, and he tried to pet it, and it sprayed him and the dog. That was awful. The whole house reeked. We also, we had a skunk spray my dog Jasper for the second time. Not us at that time, just the dog, because he ran after it and it ran back, and I noticed he kept scraping his head and body against the ground for some reason, like a cat scratching, like laying on its belly and flailing. We didn't figure out why that was happening. Then we smelt the spray, and once again the whole house stunk. For quite a while, actually. That smell takes, I'd say, months to wear off. The worst part is we tried washing the dog, like tomato paste, shit like that. Didn't really work out all that well. I think the skunk spray was by far the worst thing that's ever happened while I've been living here in the past, like, 7 years. I think the creepiest, though, would have to be when I went camping 2 years ago in the woods. My dad and his friend's old camping spot that they've been using since they were teenagers. And I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and I heard something crackling through the trees, like something big was running through the trees. You're like wondering, yeah, well, that's nature. Animals do that all the time. Yeah, they do, except there's no large animals in the woods there. In fact, there's barely any large animals to speak of in there. There's coyotes, foxes, maybe a wolf or two in the winter, but that's about as far as I know. Birds. The occasional lizard, if you're lucky enough to see them. That's about as far as I know is out there. Mosquitoes and shit. There's nothing really that big in it. Now, there is the occasional deer that wanders through, but they don't normally run through the trees, let alone super fast in the middle of the night. At least not that I know of. Plus, my dad told me, and even his friend, my neighbor Chris Miller, told me that when they were teenagers they heard the same thing at almost the exact same time at night. When they would camp out there, and they heard it multiple times. And he said they thought it was his buddy Chris. They thought it was Chris's brother messing with them when they were teenagers, but it wasn't. So it was one of those things that's really weird, but continues to happen here. And then, like, I think it was like a year ago, like 2021, we had a huge snow last year in early 2021, and we went sledding, and I noticed something each day we went sledding. There were these huge, like, hoof tracks through the snow. They were kind of odd. I'd never seen them before. They went across my property, across the golf course, and into the woods on the backside of the golf course where nobody ever really goes, called Jackson Flats. And that was a weird thing because, well, you think maybe, like, you think a deer or like a cow or something that would be logical would have walked through there, except I don't think deer and cows stand on their hind legs on 2 feet, nor take strides as far as the tracks were apart. It was like the weirdest thing. Plus, the tracks went across a frozen pond, which is not frozen now, but every year usually is frozen in the winter because it gets so cold here. But it was one of those things. And now, it wasn't even the last time I saw those in the winter, because now every winter since then, every time it gets cold enough, actually, it wasn't even since then. I saw it before, but I never said anything to my dad about it. I kind of ignored it, thinking it was whatever. Because I'd seen it before in 2020 and in 2019, with no idea as to where they came from. So, yeah. That's probably the creepiest thing I've seen while I lived here, by far, because those are still unexplainable, and I bet money they're gonna show up again this coming winter. They're gonna be out in the snow again. If they do, I will record it for you guys to show you what I'm talking about, because it is creepy. It is weird. Especially because the tracks went across, like the pond, like I said, the pond freezes. The pond on the golf course, the small one, freezes every year, and these tracks went across it. Most animals don't do that. Most hoofed animals don't walk on two legs either. So, I guess that's all we'll talk about for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Oh, by the way, before I go, if you guys want to hear more creepy stories of things that I've been, if you guys want to hear more creepy stories from my life, comment below. I'd be glad to share more weird things that have happened in my childhood. Spooky things, even. Because I got some ghost stories I didn't tell. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.